here to talk today, and normally I bring bad news. Today, for a change, I want to bring an update on a fire with a little bit of good news. Back on January 19th, fire crews responded to a house fire in a 2000 block of North Chautauqua. And when they got there, they encountered a large amount of fire going through the roof of the home. And during their fire attack and rescue operations, found there was nobody home, but they did locate 3 dogs, 3 pets. During their efforts, they tried to save all 3 dogs, 1 adult and 2 puppies. Unfortunately, 1 adult and 1 puppy perished. During their efforts, though, they utilized pet rescue masks that were donated to the department some years ago by the Invisible Fence Company, and they were able to resuscitate 1 puppy. That was a very good deal, but that was just the beginning. And so today we wanted to sort of say the rest of the story, I guess, taking a tagline from a famous guy. And I'm going to introduce Dr. Brock Lofgren from the Veterinary Emergency and Specialty Hospital of Wichita, and he's going to talk a little bit more about what's been going on.
Brock, if you could say and spell your name first, please.
Okay, my name is Brock Lofgren, and that is spelled B-R-O-C-K. And Lofgren is L-O-F as in Frank, G-R-E-E-N.
Can you step up to the podium a little bit so our mics can get you?
2 E's, yes.
And it's a veterinary?
And I am from the Veterinary Emergency and Specialty Hospital of Wichita.
So are you a veterinarian then?
I'm a veterinarian. I'm director of the Veterinary Emergency and Specialty Hospital of Wichita.
We're not the smartest people in the world.
First off, I'd like to start out by saying thank you to the Wichita Fire Department and Captain Bevis for inviting us here today. I think it's a unique opportunity to kind of point out that we understand that while tragedies such as a house fire can occur, and that people, the fire department is responsible for getting that taken care of and taking care of people. But there's also a concern for pets, and I think statistics show us that 39% of American households have at least 1 dog, and 33% have a cat. So there's definite a need for concern when situations like this occur. So. And thankfully, to the Wichita Fire Department, they've trained their firefighters, and they have been supplied with emergency rescue kits so that they can respond in situations like this that are needed. And in the case of Ember, who is the dog that was brought to our facility, she arrived in as good a condition as she possibly could have. However, when she arrived to our facility, she was a critically ill animal, and she had suffered smoke inhalation. She smelled like a chimney. There was no doubt she'd been involved in a house fire, and having had 2 housemates that were also involved that perished. So the first 48 hours were critical for her, and it took a lot of very good supportive care on the part of Dr. Jan Henshaw, who initially saw her when she came in the hospital, and her staff, supplementing oxygen, supplementing nutrition, heat, warmth, and all the supportive care that took to revive her. But she responded very well over the first 48 hours to the point where she was able to go into a foster home. And I'd like to introduce Katie Shackelford, who is a registered veterinary technician. She works in our facility, and she took little puppy Ember, and she has been with her for the last 4 weeks, Katie? Yeah, about 4 weeks. And initially starting with bottle feeding, and now it's gotten to the point where she can eat a little bit of dry food. Is that right? So at any rate, she is a vigorous little playful puppy at this point, and so we feel like this is an extremely happy story and could potentially have a very happy ending.
Okay.
What kind of dog is?
Ember is we think a terrier mix. She's going to be a small breed, someplace in the area of 10 to 15 pounds.
And it's Ember, E-M?
Ember.
Like in the fire.
Yeah.
Just
making sure. Yeah. We were thinking that, but
I thought that might be a fitting name, and she kind of got nicknamed Ember, at least, whether that'll stick or not.
Well, at this time, I'd like to ask firefighter McElroy, sorry, to come up with his wife. He was one of the firefighters that was on the scene of this incident.
Throughout our last few weeks with Ember, there was one firefighter who showed a special interest in Ember and kept up to date on her progress and called several times wanting to know how she was doing, and it was always very inquisitive, and we thought it was just very touching that he wanted to stay involved and wanted to know how the progress was going. And we also, Ember has been in a foster home for the last 4 weeks with the intention of finding a permanent home for Ember. And firefighter McElroy is that firefighter that showed interest, and we felt that there might be a good situation there, and he's been willing and said that he would like to take Ember and make a home. And so the Veterinary Emergency and Specialty Hospital of Wichita and Ember's foster mother, Katie Shackelford, would love to present firefighter McElroy with Ember.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
You're welcome. Can you spell your names for us, please? Katie, is it K-A-T-I-E or Y?
K-A-T-I-E.
And then how do you spell Shackelford?
S-H-A-C-K-E-L-F-O-R-D.
And you work there at the hospital, is that correct?
Yes.
Rob, you said she's a terrier mix. How old is she?
She's approximately 6 weeks at this time. When she came to us, we think she was around 10 days old.
Let me have you step up to the plate.
What's your first name, sir?
Dan, D-A-N,
And McElroy, can you spell it for me?
M-C-E-L-R-O-Y.
So why the special interest in Ember for you?
Yeah, I don't know that. I'm sorry. There was any specific reason. I obviously felt bad that the dog lost her mother and a sibling in the fire. My wife has been on me for quite a while to get another dog. We have a Chihuahua currently. So I said, I gotta adopt this dog. It makes too much sense. It makes me very happy. It was actually a surprise for her. She had no idea. So I'm sure I'm gonna get an earful full later.
Sorry, what's your wife's name?
Samantha.
So, Dan, what were you doing in terms of checking on her? How often would you go and what would you do to check on her?
Dr. Lofgren and his staff are excellent. They called me pretty much on a regular basis every few days or so. So they kept giving me updates as soon as they knew I was interested, which I really appreciated. So I'd say every 3 or 4 days, either I'd contact them or they'd get a hold of me, see where we were at. And they wanted to wait until the dog was fully weaned before they gave her up for adoption, make sure she had the best possible chance of survival.
And were you there the night of the fire?
Yes, sir.
What do you do in a situation like that when you're trying to revive animals that have been, dogs that have been overcome by smoke like that?
Well, I was actually on fire tech. I was not directly involved with the rescue of the dog. However, they do have these masks that were generously donated, which help in the revival. But you can actually perform compressions, CPR on animals, the same as you would a human being. It's a little bit different, obviously, given the difference in anatomy, but not too much.
Samantha, can you step up next to your husband? What are you thinking right now? What's going through your mind?
She's adorable.
Are you happy to have him or her?
Yes.
Perfect.
It is a little girl.
Does she pass? Does she get approval then?
Now, did Dan tell you what you were coming to City Hall here for today?
No, not really.
Not really.
He's going to give him a trip.
Maybe you could talk a little bit more about how surprised and excited you are.
I've been wanting another dog for quite a while, and she's perfect.
It sounds like she'll be about the right size, so she won't be knocking the Chihuahua around your head. From the fire department standpoint, I just wanted to thank Dr. Lofgren and his staff for their work, because unfortunately a lot of times these do not end in have happy endings. We don't have actual statistics, but from the beginning, when we got these masks from the Invisible Fence Company, it's become a priority once we know that we don't have human life risk and that we have crews available, that we're going to do whatever we can to save people's pets. As you all know, dogs are near and dear to my heart, and I know on the day of that fire I was on the scene, and the crews that were available were doing everything they could, but unfortunately there was just not too much they could do. And it's amazing that a pup of that young was able to pull out of it, but if it just would have been, hey, let's wait until somebody can take her to the vet, I don't think we would have had this outcome. So once again, thank you to Dr. Lofgren and his staff for everything they did, and thanks to Firefighter McElroy and his wife for adopting the puppy. And well, be anxious to see what Ember looks like. Maybe she should be like a little sporty.
Looks like it.
That was one of my first thoughts, was that she could eventually become a
Terrier mix. I think she'd dig around a little bit.
Stu, were the other 2 dogs, were they already dead really by the time the firefighters could begin any of this?
No, they tried, but they did not respond to care. They had them bundled up in blankets and were trying to apply oxygen to them as well, but they weren't able to respond to care. So we had animal control come out, and I believe animal control actually transported to your facility. So,
Do you know if all 3 dogs were found together with each other, or were they spread apart from the house?
I believe they were all in the same area. Do you remember?
Yes, sir. They
Okay.
were all in the living room together.
All in the living room. And in this fire, just for background, it actually happened in a bedroom. So it was 15 to 20 feet from there, but it was heavy fire, a lot of smoke and heat in that room where they were at. So like I said, it was quite remarkable that Ember was able to make it out.
Where will you be later this morning or early this afternoon, in case we can have a doctor come take a picture of you and the Ember?
I'm at Station 10 on 21st.
But where will Ember be?
Well,
You're not
Who cares
that far.
about you, Dan?
she'll be with my wife at her house, and then perhaps later on my wife has to go to work. She'll drop her off, and I'll take care of her for a little
Is
bit.
there a way to contact you to see if we can arrange a photo or video?
Get a hold of me, Stan, we'll deal with something.
All right, we'll figure something.
So, Stu, it really is quite amazing, though, that she was able to survive when the other 2 couldn't.
Yeah, I mean, because you think about it, what do we tell kids? Get low and go. So the dog's low anyway, but the other ones were as well. And so, just circumstances, maybe, can't really say. But yeah, it was remarkable. She responded to the care because they all had the same things. We had several people at that point trying to administer care. I think our safety officer was involved at that point too, wanting to see what was going on. But they're just, it was pretty amazing. Ember was okay.
Can you kind of hold up the equipment maybe, Stu, and show us how it works?
Well, you all have seen, ER, the oxygen mask we use on people, and that's what we used to use. And that would allow the dog to breathe in oxygen, but it really didn't work very well because one of the biggest things of applying oxygen is to have a seal so you can get the oxygen into the airway. And with these, you're able to put it over the snoot, so what is it called? Snout. The big nose of the dog, and so we have several different sizes, and not only can you just have oxygen going in, we can also attach, if we need to, we can attach our bag mask to it to help force oxygen. And as the firefighter said, we can perform CPR, it's just a little different, doing compressions on the side of the chest to help force the oxygen in and out, and help the situation. Here's the big mask for more of like a sporty size.
So if nobody was living in the house, was the Ember's mom and sibling, are they just kind of abandoned or on their own, or what was the situation?
The occupants were just gone. It wasn't vacant. They just weren't home at the time. They'd gone overnight. We actually found, pet food bowls that looked like they'd had dog food in them or of some kind that had been utilized. So, no, they just were away when the fire occurred. And like I said, I think we talked about it then. It ended up being a space heater on a dresser, caught some curtains on fire, and it was in a bedroom, and it just led to a pretty significant fire. Like I said, the house was heavily damaged.
So did they not express any interest in keeping themselves? Or?
I have no information on that.
All we were told was that they had relinquished the animals, or an animal in this case, since the others were deceased. The Ember actually came to us through Wichita Animal Control. The officers brought it, and they, I think, have jurisdiction over that. And basically, we were told that this puppy would need a home.
Who's paying for all this?
Wichita Eagles, Dan.
Your paycheck could be a little short. So Samantha, if you could step up to the podium just a little bit, tell me about your thought process. What were you, were you thinking about getting another dog? Were you wanting another dog? Tell me a little bit about what you were thinking in recent days.
I've wanted another dog for quite a while, and I would go on the Humane Society web pages and look at them and ask for new ones.
And you'd been discussing with Dan and
Yeah.
stuff like that.
Yes, I'm a huge animal lover, so.
Yeah, I don't know if Ember's going to really take to you too much. I don't know. I mean, we assume Ember. That's what the Dr. Lofgren's staff named her. So
She's welcome to rename Ember. Would like to.
I think Ember will stick.
okay.
Yeah.
Any other questions?
You didn't answer my question.
What was your question? I have no
Who's paying
clue.
for it?
That was.
You know, we a lot of the time and efforts are actually have been donated by the Veterinary Emergency and Specialty Hospital of Wichita. We do have some of the initial care. We have an agreement through Wichita Animal Control to where we can do some supportive measures, and so they do. They will receive some fees for that through our agreement, but
They being
they're-
animal control, you mean?
Yes, but they are drastically reduced fees, and a lot of it's just donated time and energy on the part of our staff.
Do you have any statistics on how many animals are injured or killed?
I don't know, Stan. I mean, I know that whenever we encounter it, we try to deal with it, and we inform the media whenever humanly possible. But unfortunately, in my experience, most of them don't end like this. Most of them, we find the pets in a condition where we can't do anything for them. So, in my 17 years involved in investigations, this is one of the few times where we do have a happy ending. So, for at least for one dog.